What do you get when you mix one of the world's richest men, a helicopter pilot, international espionage, and a dick pic? Oh, just the messiest billionaire love scandal of the decade. Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez just wrapped up the tackiest wedding of the century in Venice, but you may not remember that their love story has actually been tacky from the jump. Jeff Bezos wrecked 2 marriages, accused Saudi Arabia of hacking his phone, and somehow still walked away with a foam party wedding on a mega yacht. Buckle up, because this is pettier, juicier, and way more unhinged than you remember. Before we get into it, thank you so much for 20k subscribers. I feel like Beyonce. Thank you so much for being here. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do. We do 5 videos a week on everything going on in the world, and we're often mean to the billionaires. It's really fun. Join in on us. Join in with the other 20,000 people that are already here. Jeff Bezos met his first wife, Mackenzie Scott, back in 1992 when they were both working at a hedge fund called D.E. Shaw in New York. Things moved fast, and they got married just 3 months after they started dating. When you know, you know. Then in 1994, they both quit their jobs, packed up, and started Amazon out of a garage in Washington. Total startup cliche, but it worked. Behind every great man is an even better woman, you know? Amazon could not have started without the sacrifices Mackenzie made right at the beginning. The pair went on to have 4 children together, and from the outside, they seemed like an amazing couple. But in January of 2019, Jeff and Mackenzie announced they were divorcing after 25 years of marriage. The message was straightforward and heartfelt, saying, "We want to make people aware of a development in our lives. As our family and close friends know, after a long period of loving exploration and trial separation, we have decided to divorce and continue our shared lives as friends." They continued to share that they loved their life together and would do it all again. But the divorce wouldn't be as straightforward as they had hoped, because what wasn't mentioned in that tweet was that just 2 days before, the National Enquirer tabloid had reached out to Jeff to comment on a story it was ready to run about his new girlfriend, Lauren Sanchez. Just hours after the divorce announcement, the Enquirer reported that Jeff has been dating Lauren, the wife of WME talent agent Patrick Whitesell. Yeah, drama. The Enquirer also published text messages that Bezos had sent to Lauren as far back as April 2018. "I love you, alive girl. I will show you with my body and my lips and my eyes very soon." Yuck! There are differing reports on when Jeff and Lauren truly met for the first time, but the general consensus is that they were first introduced in 2016 by Lauren's husband at the time, Patrick Whitesell. And by the way, Patrick is not just some nobody. He was the CEO of Hollywood talent agency WME, and his client list is crazy. It's like an Oscars after party. Ben Affleck, Christian Bale, Matt Damon, Michelle Williams, Idris Elba, Jake Gyllenhaal, Hugh Jackman, John Krasinski, Jude Law, Ryan Reynolds, and Denzel Washington. Basically, if you've ever swooned in a movie theater, he probably represents the reason why. He did step down from that company after it was purchased early this year, and now he runs Wynn Sports Group, an NFL-focused investment platform, and he co-leads IMG. He and Lauren got married in 2005 and had 2 kids together. Patrick and Jeff were pals. They were friends, bros even. So of course, like any normal person, he introduced him to his wife. But this very normal interaction would prove to be a mistake. Trusting your friend Jeff, who's in the middle of a midlife crisis, with your wife is kind of like trusting a raccoon with your lunch. It technically could be fine, but it's very ill-advised. Surely but slowly, suspicions started to grow. Something was going on. Was Jeff really having an affair with his friend's wife? In 2016, Jeff hired Lauren's helicopter company, Black Ops Aviation, to film for Amazon. At the time, it didn't raise too many eyebrows, but it turned out to be the start of something much bigger. According to journalist Brad Stone, the affair didn't come to light right away. There was some sneaking going on. Bezos had always been private about his marriage to Mackenzie, but over time, people at Amazon noticed a shift. He became distracted, harder to reach, and oddly fixated on helicopters, something he had always disliked. That's when execs started to connect the dots. According to a book excerpt in the New York Post, Bezos eventually admitted to his senior team, "Just to set the record straight, I did have a relationship with this woman." He said Mackenzie knew, all the kids were fine, and the media was just blowing it all up. But it was, in his words, very distracting. Inside Amazon, the reaction wasn't great. According to Stone, many employees were surprised and disappointed that their famously disciplined boss had slipped up. So yeah, if you're paying attention, Jeff's friend Patrick was like, hey, here's my wife. She's so nice. And Jeff was like, wow. He started sleeping with her, flying around in helicopters with her, all whilst wearing his wedding ring. Such a cool dude. I bet your kids really respect you, bro. Although Jeff denies it was an affair from his end, claiming he and Mackenzie were already separated. Many people dispute that, by the way. But for Lauren, well, it's a lot harder for her to defend herself when she and her husband weren't separated at all. Then came the headline-grabbing 2019 divorce from Jeff and Mackenzie, one of the most expensive divorces to ever happen. At first, the split seemed amicable. Both parties put out messages about mutual respect and moving forward, but that calm didn't last long. Within hours, the National Enquirer dropped their bombshell, and they went all in. They called it their biggest investigation ever, complete with 11 pages of private jet sightings, limo rides, and beachfront love nests. Honestly, it was hard out. It was somebody's magnum opus. It was basically True Detective if True Detective had been about like horny billionaires and absolutely no murders. The release of those texts and the whole tabloid frenzy that was going on made the whole friendly divorce narrative a lot harder to sell. And only months later in 2019, Lauren and her husband confirmed they had divorced. You would think the drama would end there. You would think, like, you've just been publicly exposed for cheating on your wife with your friend's wife. How could it possibly get worse? Well, it did. Enter Lauren's brother, Michael Sanchez. So if you were wondering how they got all those texts and dick pics and stuff, well, apparently it was from Lauren's brother. Michael would later claim he was defamed by AMI, the publisher of the National Enquirer, when they named him as the source behind the bombshell story, and he took them to court over it. According to Michael's lawsuit, Lauren had come clean to her then-husband Patrick about that time, telling him about the affair and that the Enquirer had reached out for comment. Michael, who was acting as Lauren's unofficial manager and advisor, admitted he gave some info to the tabloid, but claimed he wasn't the only one. In fact, he pointed the finger right back at Patrick. Honestly, what a modern love triangle, right? You got your ex, you got your brother, and the National Enquirer. I find it quite interesting that Jeff and Lauren claimed there was no affair, but she only told her husband after she had already been caught by the National Enquirer. Like, okay, girl, none of us were born yesterday. In a statement to TMZ, Lauren said, Michael is my older brother. He secretly provided my most personal information to the National Enquirer, a deep and unforgivable betrayal. My family is hurting over this new baseless and untrue lawsuit, and we truly hope my brother finds peace. At the time of all the tabloid drama kerfuffle, Jeff seemed a bit confused at the idea that somebody might just not like him or think his affair was frickin' weird and yuck. And he blamed the entire debacle on Saudi Arabia? Right, Saudi Arabia didn't make you cheat on your wife? It was a mess of family betrayal, international intrigue, and horny selfies. But in the end, things have worked out for the world's most tacky and out-of-touch couple. Their ugly wedding seemed to just go off mostly without a hitch. Just some, pesky protesters and $50 million. No interference from the Saudi government though, so probably a win for Jeff. The pair have encouraged each other to pretend to go to space and seem to fake very well that none of their children have any issues with them, which I just do not believe no matter what they tell me. Let's not pretend this is some great love story. It was a car crash. There was international fallout, family drama, dick pics, and enough PR spin to power one of Jeff's sad little rocket ships. But sure, congrats to the happy couple. May your next public scandal be slightly less humiliating. If you like this video, check out the full deep dive I did into Lauren Sanchez in general. I looked at some of her previous relationships, and I'm not saying anything, but it does explain a couple of things. Bye!